Okay, good morning, everybody. Uh, Thank you for joining the call today. This is a webinar for the MHEC G24 Signage and Related Services bid. The purposes of this call is really to get you acclimated to BidExpress, which is an online bidding platform that MHEC uses. This is where you're going to log in, find the bid, find all the documents, complete your answers, and submit. This is a streamlined way to submit a bid that we switched to a few years back. And if there are any questions, please note that you can ask them in the question tab, and we'll answer them either as we go along, or if there's just too many questions to keep up with, we'll make sure that we send them out at the end of this call with the answers. So just be advised that you can ask questions during the call. Hopefully everybody can hear me. If not, feel free to type in that chat box that you can't hear me, and we'll get that figured out. So the first thing I wanted to show you was the homepage of BidExpress. This is where you're going to get started. This is where you're going to sign up and register yourself as a supplier. So to do that, we're going to go to bidexpress.com, and we're going to go to this For Vendors tab right here. Just scroll down to the middle of the page and hit Free Sign Up. And it's going to bring you to this page, which should look pretty familiar. It's pretty much how you would create an account on any other website. Asks some basic information, your name, email, a password, and some information about your business. I'm going to ask you to ignore the language over here about subscribing or signing up. BidExpress does charge a fee, a $50 per month solicitation fee, or I think it's a $35 per solicitation fee. MHEC absorbs that, so signing up to BidExpress is free, and grabbing an MHEC bid to bid on is free. So I just want to point that out first and foremost, that all of this is free. You can ignore all of the subscription or payment information. You're not going to be prompted to enter any sort of payment information here. So MHEC already has an account, so I'm going to show you how we log into that. This login button right here, and we'll go. This is going to bring you pretty much right to a homepage on BidExpress. Again, you'll see some language about unlimited bidding for $50 a month. Please ignore this whole banner. You do not have to pay a cent. And I'm also going to ask you to ignore the digital ID language. You do not need to create a digital ID for MHEC bids. We use electronic signatures, which are a lot easier. You can use any browser you want, and it's basically just typing your name at the end of it. So please ignore the digital ID language, and let's get right into the bid. So to find the bid, if you haven't already clicked that direct link that we sent out, you can go to the Solicitations tab right here. And there's going to be a search bar here where you can either search for MHEC or the contract number or both. So we'll type in G24 MHEC and hit enter. And then you can see two MHEC bids pop up. You got G24, which is the one we're talking about today, and we have CO7, which is a separate furniture bid. And you can see Mass Higher Education Consortium, that's who we are, and the free tag. So free tag is always what you're going to be looking for us. We absorb all that cost for you just to make this as easy and as fluid as possible for you. So now that we found the bid, we're going to click right into it. And I'm just going to talk about a few things here to help you get started, help you navigate, etc. So first and foremost, you'll see a couple buttons here: add to plan holder list and select for bidding. I'm going to ask that you hit select for bidding because it will also add you to the plan holder list, and then you'll also be able to enter information into your bid. Right now, all of these forms, this is the bid itself as we scroll down, but everything's locked up. We can't enter our data yet. So we're going to go to select for bidding, and you'll see a couple things happen. You'll see it load, and then you'll see the same bid form, but we have a few new buttons up here that we'll talk about. Estimated time remaining. This is really helpful to kind of keep it in your head. 21 days, 22 hours. This will tick down as we go. So we give you plenty of time to complete this bid. So that all we ask is that you kind of keep it in your mind. You don't wait till the last minute to submit the bid, the last day, the last hour. You want to make sure you still have some time here to go through the bid because it is a bit long. A lot of it's reading material, but it's just important that you manage your time very well, and that's why that's there. The status Bid submission status is incomplete. Obviously, we just got in here and the submission status is not submitted. Couple buttons I want to talk about right up here. It's really just these first three. Submit bid, that's pretty self-explanatory. That's going to submit your bid for you. Check bid, when you've started entering information into the bid and maybe you're ready to submit or you just kind of want to see your progress so far, you can hit this check bid button and it's going to bring you down. It's going to give you information first. It's going to say your bid is incomplete, or it'll say it's complete if it's complete, but ours is incomplete. So we're going to click OK, and it's going to take us down right to the first thing that we missed, which is just this checkbox. You can see it's got an asterisk next to it. And we ask that you read these instructions and let us know that you read them. And let's go back up to the top. Now, if I kept hitting that, it's just going to keep taking me down further and further to all this stuff I've missed. I'm just going to hit Save Draft since I know I did that. Save Draft is something that I'm going to ask you to click as many times as you feel comfortable clicking this. The bid does not autosave, so keep in mind that if you sit here for an hour and start completing your bid and you do an hour's worth of work and then you walk away from it for an hour or two, your Bid Express account is going to go idle and it's going to log you out. Just like any other website that you have a login for, after a certain amount of idleness, it's going to log you out and it will not autosave. So keep that in mind. All your work needs to be saved with this button. So save often, save early. You can't save too much. And just to make it a little easier, if you want to have this status bar pinned to the top of your browser, hit that lock. And now you can scroll and you can just keep hitting save draft as you go. And if that gets annoying for you, you can open that right up. And as you may have noticed right there, you'll see that when you hit check bid, anything that's not been completed yet is going to be flagged in red. So these blue bubbles will turn red. That's because they need information entered. Now, another helpful tip about these bubbles is you can click any one of these and it'll bring you right down to the corresponding section of the bid. The bid's broken up into 13 different components. So this will bring you down to part 3 scope if I click that, which is a little helpful. I'm also going to show you a separate way to navigate this bid. It's the one that I prefer to use, which is collapsing the sections. So each one of these sections, with the exception of general info right here, you can just click right on the header, collapse them right up. So I'm going to quickly do that while we're on the call here. And you'll be able to see just how much smoother this bid looks. You can open these up as you work on them and then close them when you're finished, or you can leave them all open, whatever you prefer. So you see how it goes from being this big scroll down to a nice manageable one. So I'd recommend that. So that's all of the navigation that I'm going to talk about. We're going to get into the bid itself now. Here's the general info tab, gives some basic information about the deadline. Keep in mind that once this deadline passes at 11 a.m. on May 13th, you will not be able to get back into Bid Express. You can't, even if you have a draft going, if you have not submitted your draft by that time, you are not going to be able to go back in and find that draft. It just completely vanishes off the system. So it's beneficial for us to not have to worry about these gray areas. If you don't submit on time, then we don't get the bid. So keep an eye on the time. Make sure that you leave yourself plenty of time to not do this at the last minute. View the Q&A. Inside this bid, there is a section for you to ask as many questions as you like as a bidder. I'm going to show you that right now by clicking that button. Now, there have been no questions asked so far, so I would definitely encourage you to ask away. The deadline is on May 8th. We will answer them as they come in. And if we get any questions, at the end of the day on May 8th, they'll be answered within a day or so of each other. We like to keep the deadline out about a week from the deadline of the bid, and that's just to make sure that we're not answering questions the night before the bid is due. So it sort of gives an unfair advantage. So keep that in mind. Ask as many as you'd like. All you have to do is hit this green Ask a Question button, type your question in and submit it, and we'll see it and answer it as soon as we can. You can also print these questions off. And one thing I just want to mention, when you go into the Q&A, you technically step out of your bid draft. So you're going to have to scroll back up and just hit this go to bid button. And that's going to bring us right back to where we just were. Perfect. All right. General info is covered. Instructions for bidders. This is just some information to help you. If you have any issues, technical issues with the bid, please get in touch with Bid Express. Anything that's a computer issue or not being able to get into your account. They're typically pretty fast. I always email them at this, but you can call them at their help desk number. If you can't get a hold of them, if something comes up, then you can reach out to us. But if it's anything technical, we ask that you go to Bid Express first. Save your progress, I talked about. Navigation, if you need to print a copy of the bid, here's a little workaround for it. And most importantly, don't wait until the last moment to submit your bid. IT networks are unreliable at times, and typically when you need something done within the next 3 seconds, it chooses that time to go down. So I would suggest submitting your bid 24 hours before the deadline. It's a good rule of thumb. Keep that in mind. Collapse that section. Part 1, introduction. This is just some basic information about MHEC. If you're not familiar with us, if you've never bid on a contract, you've never been on a contract with us, if you just become familiar with us, give us a little bit of read, to help you understand who we are, who we work for, who we serve, and what our whole purpose is, some of our objectives, and a link to our members. So that's the schools and towns and nonprofit organizations throughout New England that buy off of our contracts. And then you'll see fiscal year 2020, we have 2,000 plus members, total contracted volume, and the amount we've saved our members. So those discounts are really important to us. They add up, and our members love to see them. I'm going to collapse that section. Key information, again, this is pretty self-explanatory. It's got my name, my colleague Andrew Ryan's name, who's the contract specialist. You may have already spoken with him as far as helping get set up. If you have any questions that you can't get through Bid Express or you can't get through this Q&A module, ask Andrew, and we'll get it answered for you. These are some of the important dates here below. We've talked about them already. Webinar date is today. That's what we're talking about right now. Contract start date is August 1st of 2020. And we've covered the deadline. And once this webinar is over, you'll be able to click this link, the registration link, and watch a copy of it. We are recording this one, so you can watch this at your leisure a little bit later. Term of the contract is 3 years, and there are 2 options to renew beyond that. So the contract can go up to 5 years total. As long as it's running well, we make that determination at the end of the 3rd year. And then here you can see the past 3 fiscal years of volume under this contract. And then some basic procedures, MHEC procedures. Got a link to a bidding process. So that might answer some questions. Read that on your own. Part 3 is the scope section. Commodity specifications, number 1 here is really the bulk of the scope. 2 through 9 here, as you go down, is just giving you some helpful information on how the bid should be completed. But I'm not going to go too deep into the substance of this bid. You guys are the professionals and have a better idea of what you're offering. So read this to understand what we're looking for. We're looking for all types of signage, design, build, production, installation, removal, interior, exterior, small, large, everything. And the contract is for our members to use on an as-needed basis. If you're not as familiar with us, we're securing the contract pricing and your discounts for the term of the contract. Our members like UMass, UConn, the cities and towns throughout New England who need signage are going to pick up the phone or shoot an email to whoever's on contract, essentially, when they need that job. So there's no specific job that you're bidding in this contract. I just want to be clear about that. We're looking for essentially your entire catalog that we can offer to our members. The bid is broken out into categories, so we'll go over that in a little bit. The offer table is really where you're going to enter these categories. We have a set category list of about 81 master categories, and we're going to give you the option to add any. If we've missed anything, you'll have the option to add additional categories starting at number 82. So just some basic information on warranty, what we like to see, 2 years. We don't really like any surprising fees, so make sure you're clear about any fees. Prevailing wage, a lot of our members are public members and will require prevailing wage rates to be used for certain labor rates, or certain jobs, I should say. So be mindful of that. We do have the sample Massachusetts prevailing wage sheet for download in part 5 of this bid, so you can take a look and offer a cost plus, cost markup on those rates, or anything that works for you, basically. Keep in mind that those will come into play with certain members. And there will be a category sheet that we're going to go over in just a little bit. Refer to this full master category spreadsheet when you're completing your offer table, because that's how the offer table is broken down. So we'll get to that. And then, like I said, number 2 through 3, 4, this is kind of just explaining what we like to see, explaining that we like to see shipping included with your freight. You're expected to market your contract, equipment leases, etc. So some of this stuff might not apply, but where it does, just try to read and understand and digest that on your own. Okay, the offer table instructions, part 4A. The offer table is really the meat of this bid. This is really where you're telling our members, you are going to offer this brand of this type of sign at this discount, and here are your freight terms. It really gives a snapshot of your offer and your pricing to the member. And it feeds, if you're awarded a contract, it feeds directly to the MHEC website. So it's very important that when you're completing the offer table, you're as clear, concise, and really, with your offer, because they're going to be, our members are going to be reading this in the next 3 years, basically, and they want to be able to have an accurate snapshot of what your company is offering. So I'm going to cover the 2 ways to get this done. But first, I just want to talk about these descriptions. The offer table is in an Excel format, it's in a spreadsheet format, and each of these bolded names refers to a column header. So you have vendor, that's going to be your name. Brand, if it's a specific brand you're offering, you're going to enter that there, or you can enter your company name if it's a your own company's brand. Bidding entire brand, it's either yes or no, or it might not be applicable if you're bidding your company brand. Or you can just enter yes if you're just bidding your entire company's brand. Category number and category. So that's where I am going to bring us down to part 4B here. And you got 2 documents you can download. There's a category list and there's an offer table example sheet. I have both of those open here. So I'm just going to go to the category list right now. These are the master categories we want you to bid inside your offer table. And you got 1 through 81 here. And then number 82, going consecutively up from 82, you can propose new categories. So we've tried to be pretty exhaustive with these categories, but that's not necessarily, that doesn't mean we've not missed something. So if you see something that you offer that should fit under this contract, but we've not included it in this list of 81 categories, start with number 82 and start adding your own categories. Hopefully there won't be that many of those, but sometimes it's necessary. So keep that in mind. You have that option. So this is the list you're going to keep open. This is going to help you complete your offer table. And then the second one, this is a sheet of offer table examples. We've tried to enter a few examples of how you would enter it to kind of show you what we're looking for. So that's this sheet right here. When you open it up, it's got some tips right at the top. Don't use this sheet to submit your offer. This is just an example sheet, as you can see by the big red language. Create as many rows as necessary. Just give some basic information of what this is and why we're looking for it. If awarded, the details you provide will be displayed on the MHEC website, so be as clear as possible. Okay, so I just want to go through at least one of these. Keep in mind these headers up here, those are corresponding exactly to your offer table, so you'll see that in just a sec. Right here we have the vendor is ABC Sign Company. The brand that they're bidding is ABC Custom, so that's their own brand. Bidding entire brand, I put not applicable, but you could put yes. I assume if you're a company bidding your own services or brand, you're going to bid it all for this. And then as we work over here, here's where the category list comes in. Category number, category name. Number 78, vehicle wraps and graphics. And just to double check, number 78, vehicle wraps and graphics. You can copy that right over to your own sheet. Subcategory and sub-subcategory. So this is really, these are optional columns, but we give them to you to basically break out your offer as far as you'd like to. So I'm going to actually change this. There we go. So this bidder's bidding on vehicle wraps and graphics. I'm going to change this to design, excuse me. So right now, they're bidding on vehicle wraps and graphics. The subcategory is design. So they're just bidding on the design of these vehicle wraps and graphics. There's no other subcategory, but you could put entry level if it's an entry level designer, or if it's a, anything that helps. But if you don't need any extra detail here, just put not applicable. Easy enough. The discount being offered on the design of vehicle wraps and graphics is 15% off the hourly rate. All right, so that gives us a good idea of what your discount is off of these designs. We have a second column here called volume tier price discount. So that would be additional discounts offered on higher volume purchases. So if you're ordering more than 3 wraps, this supplier is going to offer you an additional 2% on discount. So it would bring it up to a 17% hourly rate discount. That's pretty good. Other discounts offered, this next column, prompt payment discount, 10 days, 5%. So this isn't required. If you have nothing to put here, just put not applicable. But if something like a prompt payment discount, if they pay within 10 days, you'll add an additional 5% to the discount. If you want to offer that, our members love to see that. And you can propose your own schedule. Doesn't have to be 10-5, can be anything that you want. But our members love to see that. These next 3 columns are the labor rates. So 15% off the hourly rate. Here's the hourly rate. So this is what our members are seeing. This is a direct snapshot they're getting. They know what they're going to be paying. If your rates are the same, you can put not applicable, or you can just put the same rate across here. But our members want to see that pricing. It's important. The next column here, any other services that you're offering that will be at no charge. Again, that's optional, but anything you can offer, free consultation, training, procedures, is encouraged. Price list date and source. We want to know what the price list is referencing, if it's just your rate sheet or if it's a manufacturer sheet, if it's your own internal list. Let us know what the date of the price list is or the rate sheet, and what the name of it is, who it belongs to, essentially. Minimum order, there's no minimum order here, but you can put one if you need. It could be 2 wraps, or it could be 5 hours, or it could be a $1 limit, or it could be none. Freight on board and freight. So we typically like to see destination as the freight on board designation, and we like to see included as freight. We don't like additional charges. If it is an additional charge, let us know how that's calculated. But here, this is design services that are being bid, so this is not applicable, and that's totally fine. Warranty, if you have a warranty on your design services, please enter that. If not, not applicable. And then any other information you want to include on this row. So our member is getting an accurate snapshot of what ABC Sign Company is offering, and it's the vehicle wraps, the design of the vehicle wraps, 15% off of the hourly rate that was given, and there's prompt payment discount. So I'd like to cover another row here, just so we get an idea. And this next one I'm going to cover. This is sort of a new-ish category that we've added, so I do want to cover it anyway. This is XYZ Company bidding their own brand, XYZ Co. Not applicable, or you could put yes for entire brand. Now, XYZ is bidding category number 39, murals. Let's just confirm that. Number 39, murals, perfect. Make sure those numbers match up. That's really important for our purposes. But for murals in the subcategory, they put installation as a percentage of cost. So we're imagining that murals are sort of expensive to install, right? And instead of just giving you a flat cost or a flat discount or something like that, we wanted to give you the option to bid the murals as a category, bid the installation as the subcategory, and then you can base your discount on the cost of the actual mural. So you're bidding the installation of murals, and it's 5% of that total mural cost. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's useful to you. Hopefully that, if not, you don't have to use it. If installation's included, go ahead and just write installations included anywhere. Or you can put it in the subcategory, anywhere where it makes sense for you. Just try to keep it consistent. But we wanted to include that just in case that helps you, just in case that helps your pricing. You can be as specific or as vague as you'd like to be here. So I'll even give an example that came up previously. So I'll copy this row entirely, right? And we'll get rid of the installation on this one just for the sake of argument. And I'll edit this one as well. So now we've got two mural lines. You can bid on multiple categories. You can put the same category on multiple rows depending on how you want to offer it. So if you're bidding murals, but you want to bid stone murals, and we'll ignore the subcategory for now. You want to bid stone at a 15% discount, that's great. But maybe your steel murals are a little more expensive, or maybe the process is a little bit different, or maybe you have a different distributor. So you only want to offer that one at 10%. Perfectly fine. Use those subcategory fields to delineate your offer, to pair it up, to be as specific or as vague as you'd like to be. Another question that came up was entire catalog of products and services. If you want to offer that, if you want to offer everything that your company does at a flat discount, say this one's at 25%, you're more than welcome to do that, and we'd love to see that. We want you to offer your entire catalog. But as far as our members searching this information, they're only going to be able to find this bit of data from you. So if you offer murals, or you offer placards, or if you offer all these specific things, they're going to actually have to go to your website and poke around, which isn't the end of the world, but it takes them out of our search function, which we try to make it as easy as possible for them to look, and it sends them out into the internet, which is the playground. So I'm going to show you how this information displays on the MHEC website, so hopefully get this in your brain. And I'm going to use a separate contract here. Plumbing. So this has a list of all the MHEC contracts. Once I filter by plumbing, these are all the plumbing suppliers we have. These are all the brands we have. And these are all the categories on the contract. So if you just put entire catalog, and one of our members was searching just by you, not a good example. When you put entire catalog at a 10% discount, that's great, and they know that. But again, all they're going to see is all brands, entire catalog. They don't get any specificity. Whereas if you're more specific about the categories and the subcategories you're bidding, you can have a lot more data in here. They can search by your brands, they can search by your categories. So even though entire catalog pops up there, you still got pipes and valves, fixtures, boilers, everything that they might want to specifically see. And they can filter by those boilers, see your brand, see your pricing, and this information corresponds directly to your offer table information. There's a little bit more information in the one you're going to fill out, but we're going to scale that back when the contract's awarded to fit into here. And we're going to include a link basically, so they'll be able to find the full information. But this is basically how it's going to display. So this is your offer table. So please keep that in your mind, that our members are going to be looking directly at this. And if you want them to understand your offer, you have to write it pretty coherently. Okay. So when it comes time to complete the offer table, there's two different ways to do it. And we put both directions up at the top of part 4A here. You have an A and B. A, you can enter your data directly into the component. So I'll collapse this. Part 4C is the component. This is the actual offer table. You can add rows, as many or as few as you like, and you can enter your data this way. And that's fine. I don't prefer to do it this way because there's a scroll bar. It's a little more difficult to see what you're doing here. I know I'm more comfortable in Excel. I know most folks typically seem to be. So this is a viable way, and you can save your information this way. I prefer to do it a little bit differently. And I'll open these instructions back up. And this is B that this is B that I'm going over right now. You can export this component as an Excel sheet. It's called a CSV file, but it's an Excel format, basically just with no special formatting. So no colors, no bolds, anything like that. This is a much easier way, in my opinion, to do this part of the bid. And I'll show you how to do that. Back in part 4C, the offer table, we're going to go to this export button, export CSV. It's going to automatically download. I'll just click on that. And you'll see this pops up. All of these columns correspond to the columns in your example sheet, and they correspond to the columns in this component. So, there's my dog. I'm just going to enter some data here so you can kind of see. And I'll drop it down, pull it over so we have 4 full rows of data. Oops. Okay. And you can feel free to expand these anyway to help you see. So now I got my data in here. I'm going to save this. And I'm actually just going to double check and save it as the same CSV file. And I'll save it in my downloads folder. Save type is CSV. And I'm just going to do John's offer. I'm going to save that sheet. I'm going to exit out of here. Don't need to save that. Back into Bid Express. And now instead of the export button, we're going to hit import. Import our CSV. Find my file. Open. And you see my data transports right into there. So if you need to change something small, you can still change it in there, but you're not doing all your work in this component. So choose whatever way works best for you. I know the Excel version works best for me, but you have both options. So that's the offer table. We spent a lot of time on that because it really is the meat of the bid. So take your time there. Really think about the best way to display your offer for our members. Part 5, bidder forms to download. This is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll go through these. Sample price list format. This is a sample Excel format. Sample price list format. You're going to be asked to submit your pricing in this bid. If you already have a spreadsheet with your pricing in it, submit that. If not, this is the format we're looking for. These are some of the basic headings that we're looking for. You don't necessarily have to have the discount in there because that's going to be in your offer table, but just keep that in mind. So we give you that sample. The Massachusetts Standard Contract Form, this is a required form for the bid. It's a state of Massachusetts contract form as it reads. All we need you to do is enter your information into this red box, sign it, print your name down here, and then attach it. and you're going to attach it right in the section below, Part 6, right here, this third slot. The MHEC IFB terms and conditions. So I'm going to download this. These are the MHEC terms and conditions. We've given you this in an Excel sheet format. The terms are all in this column, and we give you the option to enter notes if you need to, or objections. Obviously, we don't encourage any objections to our terms, but if you need to enter something, if you need to clarify something for us, enter it into this, enter your text as you need to, save your file, and you can also upload that right here, MHEC IFB terms and conditions. Again, we're not encouraging you to upload objections. So if you have nothing to upload, if you read them and you're fine with them, you have nothing to add, you don't have to upload a file, and you can just hit this omission term. I am not enclosing this document because the omission terms have been met. Basically, you didn't have the objections. And the Massachusetts prevailing wage rates, I briefly talked about this. Many of our members will need you to use prevailing wages because they are public members. So there's a sample wage sheet right here for you to get an idea of what the wages are. These change pretty frequently, so I believe this one expires in 90 days. So just for your information there. So those are all the bidder forms to download. Part 6 is where you're going to attach them. I already talked about a couple of these, but W-9, certificate of insurance, and those limits are in the IFB terms and conditions. It's toward the end, you'll see the insurance limits we ask for. Attach your file here, your insurance form there. Standard contract form, attach here. Price list. Financial statement, we ask for a copy just to make sure that your business is solvent, that you're in good financial standing. Upload your file, or you can select the omission term if you're including a link in the section below. We allow you to attach or to enter a web link if you'd rather not attach a form. So that is an option there. IFB terms and conditions we talked about. And the last one here is just a company logo. If you're awarded a contract, that just helps us get an email out, a marketing email out as soon as the contract is effective, kind of letting our members know you're on contract. So please include a smooth file format of your logo so we can have that at the ready. So those are the documents you're going to attach. So I hope everybody's still following along. We're through the rough part of it. Part 7 here is bidder questions. So this is where you're actually going to enter some text. You're done with the offer table, you're done with the Excel, or you can do it in whatever order you like. But this is basically, we're going to ask about your company, some basic information that you shouldn't be any surprises. Year established, number of employees, annual sales. This is the link I was talking about for your financial statement. If you'd rather not include a form, just include a web link that we can go to and just ensure that you're in good shape. Tax ID, yada yada. So this is all again for our members' information. I'm not going to cover this in depth. This number 13 basically covers how your pricing would display if you have a separate landing page or an e-commerce site or a hardship. If you don't have either of those, just select hardship. And then this is where some of this information we ask for in the offer table, but there's some character limits in there. So we ask you to be brief in there and then give your full answers, your full information in these text boxes. So tell us about your freight, how you get deliveries done, if there's any dock discounts, anything like that. Return policy, manufacturer questions. We're asking about prompt payment discounts. Again, we asked that in the offer table, but we just ask for a yes or no here. If you offer prompt payment discounts, that's a great benefit that our members love to see. It's not required, but if it's something that helps you, we definitely want you to add that to the contract. And I won't go too far through these. There's some marketing questions. You know, why is your offer compelling? What makes you stand out from the competition? Equipment removal and disposal. Some basic questions. So hopefully those all make sense. If something's not applicable, try your best to answer it, but you can put not applicable for these. Most of them are marked as required, so make sure you put something in there. If you have any supplier diversity office designations, if you're a small business, minority business, veteran-owned business, women-owned business, please check one of these boxes and include your form. Later in the bid, I'll show you where to do that. If you're a small business, I don't believe, at least in Massachusetts, there is a specific form, but you can check that off. And if you have under 50 employees, I believe you can register as a small business. And then just some contact information, your main contact, who should be the main point of contact for administration, who's the main sales contact, who's the order contact, CEO. These might all be the same person, might just be two people. Make sure we have the correct information here though. So that is part 7. That's really the meat of your description of your company. So definitely be articulate there. You know, tell us, especially in this question, number 1 here, why you should be on contracts. You know, if you're working with any members, anything that helps us understand your company and what you're doing. Part 8, bidder terms. So again, some of this stuff might be a little bit familiar from previous parts of the bid, delivery, PO terms, stuff like that, landing page. This section, again, feeds directly to our database and to our website. So this gives our members a snapshot of your company. There are character limits on this, so similar to the offer table, just be careful of how much information you're entering. You can always attach extra sheets if you need to explain further. But this is 1 through 22. I believe there's 22 questions here that are all very brief. So just give us a snapshot so our members are aware this is what they're going to see. It asks you which New England states your contract would be applicable in. If you can serve all states, that's great. If you can only serve one state, that's fine too. If you can only serve Western Mass, that's fine too. We just, if there's any restrictions, if there's a part of Mass or a part of Connecticut that you serve, just enter that restriction right down here. And then the last question just asks if you're going to extend the offer beyond just the administrators of these member institutions. So is it is your pricing good for the staff, the faculty, the students, or not extended to anybody like that? That is your choice. So I'm going to collapse this section. Hopefully that makes sense. Nothing too surprising there. Sales and dealer information. If you have a lot of salespeople or dealers under you, this section can help you name them. You know, you can put whether they are a salesperson, an order person, or a separate dealer, and all their contact information, where their territory is. You can do as many as you like here. Just keep hitting this plus button, and it will add another blank field. If you don't have anybody, if it's just the salesperson that you put up in part 7, and that's the only salesperson you really have, you can click this optional button, and it will gray these out. So you don't have to enter any information. You won't be flagged, nothing like that. So that's your choice. If you have extra salespeople to add them here. If not, click that button. Bidder references, pretty self-explanatory. Enter three different references, organizations you've worked with. If they're a member, that's even better. So we can reach out to them and they know who we are. To ask about you. So if it's not a member, it's no big deal, but we prefer to see some MHEC members here that you've been working with. Collapse that section up. Affidavits and forms. Part 11 is very important to the bid. If you do not complete these, your bid is automatically marked unresponsive. So we need your consent to the certificate of non-collusion, tax compliance. This is where you're actually going to agree to those MHEC terms and conditions that are in the Excel sheet. Even if you've entered notes and everything like that and uploaded it into part 6, you're still going to need to type your name here to agree. Pretty self-explanatory. This signature panel basically has to do with that standard contract form that you also attached in part 6. Download it in part 5. We just need your another signature here, basically, any comments that you have. And then this last one is for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts terms and conditions. These are separate from the MHEC terms and conditions, but they overlap quite a bit. We like to throw theirs on for our Massachusetts members so they know that they are covered under the Commonwealth terms and conditions. And you can click that link right there, and that'll bring you right to the Commonwealth terms. So take a look at those, enter your name in there and title, and part 11 will be wrapped up. Part 12, contract service fee. If you're not familiar with MHEC, we do charge a quarterly contract service fee of 1%. So that would be 1% of sales that you, excuse me, 1% of net sales that you as an awarded supplier are doing with our members. So each quarter we send out a spreadsheet. Our business office will send you an Excel spreadsheet with a full list of our members on it. It has some calculations built in, so all you'll have to enter is the volume that was done with that member or those members, sign it, send it back to us with a payment, and you're good for that quarter. If once you're awarded a contract, you'll get more information about this, but I just want everybody to be aware that there's a 1% service charge on these contracts. And you're just going to agree with that button right there, marked with an asterisk. And this is important. We need somebody who is responsible for that report. So maybe it's the person completing the bid, maybe it's somebody in your business office. Make sure that you have the correct person entered into this form, and that they are aware that this is something they would have to do if your company is awarded a contract. So collapse that. All right, now we're nearing the end. This is the signature form. This is really just to confirm that you agree to everything above. You are submitting your bid in good faith. Pretty basic there. So make sure you agree, enter your name and everything like that. So these two end sections are optional, but I just want to cover them. Supplier Diversity Office, we talked about that. If you are a minority business, women-owned business, small business, and you have selected those buttons in Part 7 and said that I am one of these diversity businesses, you're going to want to upload your form here just so we have it on record. Like I said, there is no small business form in Massachusetts, so we don't have a slot for that, but we should have a slot for everything else. If there's anything else you don't see, you can attach it in the following section. But if you have nothing here, just hit that optional button and you will be grayed out. You won't be flagged for not submitting anything here. And the last section, this is just a supplemental upload section. We give you 8 slots to add as much information as you want, any additional marketing documents or statement of work, anything that you'd like to include here that sort of helps your offer. Again, nothing's required here, so we're just going to hit that optional button if you don't have anything. And that's it. That's the end of the bid. I obviously didn't enter much information, so I didn't save much, but you're going to want to save a lot, as I mentioned previously. Let me just pop open the questions here. Okay, so I have a question here. Let me open the categories. So it says for item number 59, so this would be category number 59 in the master category sheet. If it is design, build, installation, does that mean by hourly rate? So yep, so in the offer table, we have those columns for hourly rate. Hopefully I answered that, but you can enter your hourly rates there. You can enter an overall discount in the discount column if that works. It really sort of is up to you, whatever works best for you to get your offer across and for it to be coherent for our members. And I'm actually going to show you that on our website briefly. I meant to do that before, but let me finish the rest of these questions. Okay, and I think I answered that question for you too, Becky. So yeah, this question was basically, if it's varying materials, can you bid on the same category multiple times? And yes, the answer to that question was yes. So basically, oh, hold on one second. Yep, so basically if the monument was made out of steel versus stone, you could have multiple lines for monument. You could have multiple category lines for monument depending on that. So break them out, be as specific and or as general as you like there. That's really for your benefit, those subcategory columns. Perfect. Okay, so I just want to show you all one more thing. I meant to show you this as we went through the offer table, but I got kind of carried away, as I do, with just explaining. But the reason that this is important, the reason that this information should be entered by you in a very coherent way is because it's going to feed directly to the MHEC website. And I just want to show you this. This is the MHEC search database. This has all of our contract data. It has everything that you would, that a member would possibly need to find out who's on contract, what their pricing is, what their terms are, any special instructions. So if you're awarded a contract, you're going to pop up on here. And I just kind of want to show you why it's important to enter your information correctly. So I'm just going to use a sample contract. We're going to use the plumbing contract, G14. That's a full list of all MHEC contracts in this tab. We can open it by supplier. So if I'm looking for a specific supplier, I can go right there. Or if I'm looking for a specific brand, I can go to this one. There's quite a lot of brands, as you can see, but that's why it's important to enter it with the correct name, capitalization, everything like that. Otherwise, we're doing it on our side, and we might make a typo or something like that. So you guys are the ones that know this, so just keep that in mind. These are all the brands. These are the product categories. So that's like number 1 through 82 for us. So it just makes it a lot easier for members to search our catalog. And if you just had entire catalog, you know, it just shows up as a single row. Oops. It'll just show up as a single row, plumbing entire catalog, 20% off. So it's good to offer your entire catalog, but it's even better to add some detail there. So if a member is looking for pumps, they can pull up 8 rows and kind of see the basic details here. They can click into the supplier and get their details, their return policy, their credit cards, their delivery. We try to make it as easy as possible for them to use this contract, which benefits you obviously as a supplier on the contract. We just want them to be able to pick up the phone or send an email and, you know, get right on with it without so much guesswork. So that's really our goal. So I hope that makes sense. If you're awarded a contract, your information is going to display in here. You know, here's the states that you serve, here's your freight terms. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let me just double check the questions one more time before we wrap up. Yep, so there's a question here asking about plaques, which could mean donor plaques. So asking if the word plaque is open for interpretation. Yep, absolutely. So rather than let it be open for interpretation, use those subcategory columns to break out your offer. So if it's a plaque and you want to specify donor plaque, you can bid on plaques, whichever category that is. Forgive me, I don't have it in front of me right now. But you can bid on the plaque category. And then in here, you could write donor. And then if you needed to filter it even more than that, you could put 5-inch or less. I don't really know the sizing requirements for those, but if you needed to break it out further, use those columns because they will help you. Okay, so let's see. I don't think we have any other questions here, which hopefully means that I've covered everything and that you all understood it. This is, you know, it is a longer bid. It can look cumbersome, but I promise you, if you collapse the sections, if you take your time, if you save the bid, you got another, you know, at least 3 weeks to complete this. Take your time, and I think you'll be fine. Any questions, again, very important that you ask them in the Q&A here. Don't send them directly to myself or Andrew unless it's a technical question. Unless you're having trouble Bid Express, you can get in touch with us there. But if it's a bid related question, if it's a question about how to complete your offer table or specifics of brands, etc., please use the Q&A and it'll get answered quickly, and it'll be part of the record and everything like that. So it's really important for us to keep everything above board. So I'll stop babbling on now because we've been going for an hour. I want to thank you all for staying on the call and listening. Hopefully this helped. I want to thank Andrew for going through that beginning part for us. And this will be recorded. So we're going to post the link as soon as we can, we'll send out an email that the link has been posted and that you can watch this at your leisure. You can listen to my voice as you're falling to sleep, whichever works best. But again, I want to thank you all for staying on the call, and I wish you the best of luck completing this bid, and let us know if you have any questions. Thanks so much.